Hey guys, in today's video, I wanted to show you how I redrew an art piece that I made 5 years ago, and I wanted to talk about how my workflow and thought process has changed with experience since my last piece. But first off, I wanted to say thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. If you don't know what Skillshare is, it's an online learning community with thousands of classes covering dozens of creative and entrepreneurial skills. Premium membership will give you unlimited access to all of the classes you're interested in, and with the launch of Adobe Fresco, Skillshare has teamed up with them to create exclusive online classes showcasing the possibilities of Adobe Fresco, which is a new drawing and painting app with insanely advanced brushes perfect for artists, animators, illustrators, and anyone who wants to discover or rediscover the joy of drawing and painting. I've been enjoying this illustrative typography class by Dylan Mierzwinski, which showcases how to utilize different features of Adobe Fresco to create a floral lettered art piece, which is something I'm kind of interested in because I just finished an advanced typography class this semester, so I'm really interested in illustrative typography. Skillshare is incredibly affordable at less than $10 a month with the annual subscription, so if you want to check it out, I will have a link down in the description for a free 2-month trial to the website, so thank you so much to them for sponsoring this video. I also used Adobe Fresco for this sketch for my redraw of the original painting, so if you see that, I used my new iPad and Adobe Fresco to draw that. First off, I wanted to mention that I think the first piece was painted in GIMP and the second painting, the redraw, is made in Krita. Both are free painting software that you can use, and the reason that I use Krita is because I want to encourage you guys to utilize free software to create, beautiful art pieces. You don't have to have Photoshop or Paint Tool Sai or any other like Corel Painter to create beautiful pieces of art. Krita is a really good painting software that you can utilize, as well as GIMP, but I grew out of GIMP and into Krita over the past couple of years. But I wanted to just talk about my workflow and my process when painting a piece and how the way I think about the piece has changed since, these past 5 years. So I think the very biggest difference between the two pieces is intentionality. The first piece was not thought out, and that's okay because, some pieces are just something you want to do for fun. Sketch a doodle, you don't really want to put in a lot of work into them. But I put I think about as much time or maybe less time in my second piece, the one that I made for this video, as I did in my drawing from 5 years ago. And that's just because I sort of figured out a really good workflow and how to communicate a message or a feel to my piece. Also, I would like to say that I'm not trying to knock my original piece. That's one that I made in 2014. I still think it's a cute piece. I don't have really any problem with it, but I remember when I painted it, the thoughts I had and the effect that I added and all of it combined, I know that it could have been improved, and I wasn't very happy with it at the time, but I didn't really think through the whole process, and the whole work suffered because I wasn't intentional with everything that I did. I think the biggest thing to break down in the original piece is that effect on her shirt, the purplish green, really ugly effect that I have going on, which is kind of like a Endgame, disappearing purple Doctor Strange kind of thing going on. And the reason I added that effect was because I thought the painting was really boring and I was too lazy to add color on top of it, and it was just missing something. So I decided to look through GIMP's effects and to just add something random to it. And I think the way that my second piece has changed is I really thought of an intentional way to paint in an interesting effect without using a random GIMP effect to make the piece quote unquote stand out. And so for my redraw, I was intentional about the lighting in this second painting, and I created shadows and a more interesting lighting situation than in the first piece because I knew that it would add interest and draw your eye to different places in the painting. And secondly, I also played around with sort of that color scheme, which I had a green and purple filter on top of a black and white painting for the first painting that I made. And so what I decided to do was to take that kind of an essence of that, so a pinkish color, a pinkish and a purple, and then to add a tealy blue color, to use those two colors to sort of complement each other and to make the background look kind of like a seashell. How a seashell will have that iridescent look to it. That's how I decided to add interest to this piece. And I also would like to say that my second piece, the one that I made for this video, it's not something that I would consider to be a beautiful, like, finished piece. You know, it is sketchy and it is painterly, and the point I had with this is not to say that so much my skills specifically have improved, because I wanted to utilize about the same amount of time for both pieces, but just to say how I've been more thoughtful in creating an artwork. And so what I started off with was a black and white painting with a more dynamic lighting situation, because I knew that would add visual interest. And once I had that base black and white drawing down, I decided to add color on top of it. And whenever I add color in Krita, it's kind of a weird process of just layering different blending modes and different layers just on top of each other and adding adjustment curves. And finally, I'll go into Lightroom and I will adjust everything again to add some grain, some detail and sharpness. So it's kind of just tweaking a lot of different aspects. And I think that one thing that is similar between the original painting and my second painting is that I do still utilize sort of filters and effects on top of my paintings to add a little bit more life to them, because I personally don't think that my artwork looks that good without having to add some more lighting effects and detail and sharpness, and sometimes grain. I've realized that grain is a fun sort of addition to add to a painting, because it just adds texture, and it's just something that I've realized helps my workflow, and my final pieces look more interesting. When I painted this, I was also more intentional about like the hair and the shirt, how they were interacting with the character and the shadows. And so I think that the original blouse for the first painting, I think it looks pretty fine. However, it is kind of stiff, like the shoulder juts out a lot as if there's a huge shoulder pad, and I just think that purple effect on the front of the painting is really distracting, because the whole vibe of the piece is like a soft, serene kind of face, and then there's that really weird, crazy sci-fi effect on the painting, and so it just doesn't, it looks out of place because it wasn't even something that I had thought of. I just wanted to add some sort of interest to the piece, and so I added that effect. And so in the second piece, I went with more of a soft look. I don't know if this makes any sense, but I love the the light coming through. I'm thinking of the Romanian word right now instead of the, what are they called? The Iranian jaruzele. What is it in English? The light sifters? What are they called? Sometimes I have these moments where I can't think of the English word and I can just think of the Romanian word. I have to look this up. The word's blinds. I can't believe I forgot that. But that light coming through blinds effect on the face, it's kind of got a film noir, Lana Del Rey, like Casablanca kind of vibe. I really just like that, and so I've done that in a couple of other paintings a while back, but I haven't done it in a while, so I wanted to revisit that. And for this piece, I took a little bit more, I don't know, I put in a little bit more thought into the shirt and the lighting, you know, the textures of the shirt, the shadows, and also in the background, even though the background isn't detailed, there's nothing really going on there, I did make sure that it wasn't just like a plain gray background or like plain pink or blue background. It wouldn't have looked as interesting, you know, it's more dynamic this way. So I guess my final thoughts, let's wrap everything up. My workflow has improved since I really do think about how each element of the piece will contribute to how the viewer sees the piece. I can't say that in the first one my problem was technique, because if I had really thought it through, like during that time period, I did make paintings with interesting lighting, because I was making paintings at the time with more dramatic lighting, but I didn't really think about how to utilize that in this piece and how to make a creative painting. I just wanted like to draw something that was cute, and then it was lacking, so I added a stupid filter on top of it. And so I wanted to show how in this new piece I put a little bit more thought into what I was creating. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up and let me know what you thought of it and what you think of my improvement over 5 years. I also wanted to mention that I am using a Huion HS610 tablet for this painting, and I was using a Wacom Intuos tablet for my previous piece, which arguably is a, quote unquote better tablet. it's more expensive at any rate, so it's not like your materials actually will create a better work of art. That's just a little tangent, but I thought I would mention it, is that you don't have to have like the best tools to create a wonderful piece of artwork. And I just wanted to say that also I love this Huion HS610 tablet, and I'm going to be making a review for it shortly. So it's going to come out hopefully this next month. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos, because I don't put them out regularly, and you probably won't see them if you don't subscribe and hit the notification bell. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!